Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making some gift card envelopes out of these little mini paper bags. I'm showing you here, this is the paper bag I'm going to be working on. It's just a plain white one, and these are found at Canvas Corp. You can get like a pack of 25 of these mini envelopes, and they're really fun for gift cards. They're the perfect size, so I thought I would make some for Christmas today. So I'm taking my Heidi Swap wood grain background stamp, and I'm applying some ground espresso distress ink. I wanted some really dark brown ink to kind of contrast with that white and give it kind of a birchwood kind of feel. So I just took my darkest brown, which is the ground espresso, put it down on my stamp, and now I'm laying my paper bag on top of it and just kind of rubbing that surface all over to make sure I get a good stamped impression. So there's my stamped paper bag. I'm going to kind of set it aside so it can dry a little bit, and I'm showing you here what my thought is on what I want it to look like. I'm going to make these two look the same. So like I said, I'm setting it aside, and now I'm taking these little pine cone stamps. This is from Brutus Monroe Sketched Holiday Stamp Set. I just used the pine cones for these, and I stamped it in that ground espresso as well. And I'm going to color them using some other shades of distress ink. So this is the Antique Linen Distress Ink. It's a really light color. So when I do my blending, I like to start with my lightest color and then work in the darker colors afterwards, because it's always easier to add more color, and it's kind of hard to take away if you put too much color on. So it's always a good idea to kind of start with the lightest color and then go to the darkest color and just blend until it looks the way you want it to look. So I think the color I'm using now is some gathered twigs. I'm just going to take some of this and blend from the bottoms up, and that way I'll get sort of a nice graduated color, going from darker to lighter, which is kind of what I was going for. So I'm just blending that right on top of that antique linen, and it blends together really well. And then I have my pine cones all colored. Now I did go ahead and I cleaned up my craft mat so I wouldn't have any of that ink there that would get on my project. And now I'm taking my pine cones and a little bit of foam adhesive, and I want to pop one pine cone up on top of the other one. So I'm just taking a little bit of that foam adhesive, peeling off the backing, and then I'm just going to stick it right on top of that other pine cone. I like using foam adhesive to give a little bit of dimension and interest to my projects. So now this is some red raffia that I tied into a bow, and I'm using some Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue to adhere it down. Now I'm reaching for some of my little Christmas kind of flowers. These are by Petaloo, and instead of really using the flowers, I'm just going to grab some of these leaves here to put on the top of the pine cone, just to give it some more greenery, to really give it that Christmas look. So I'm just going to add some of this glue to the edges of those little leaves, and then just kind of tuck them in behind my pine cones and just arrange them to where I think they look good. So I'm putting two off to the side over here, and then I'm going to kind of put one going in the other direction, kind of sticking off on the other side. And I'm putting them all behind that top pine cone, so they're kind of tucked in behind there. So once I had those arranged, I just set that aside to let the glue dry, and I grabbed a piece of vellum. You just saw me use my anti-static powder tool, and I like to use that before I emboss because it helps me get a cleaner impression of embossing. So I just showed you there, that's the Brutus Monroe Holiday Sentiment stamp set. And so I'm taking this Merry Christmas stamp, I'm inking it up with some Versamark ink, and then I'm going to stamp it down on my vellum where I added some of that powder. Now the embossing powder that I'm using today is Brutus Monroe's Penny embossing powder, and it's just a really pretty copper kind of metallic powder. So I'm sprinkling some on there and just tapping off the excess, and then you can see after it's after it's embossed, it's a very shiny copper color, and I just really love that metallic look, and it really fit well with the colors and the theme of my little project here. So I cut that little piece of vellum down, added a little flag end to it. Now I'm grabbing my Tombow liquid glue, and I'm just putting tiny little dots of this glue behind the words that I stamped and embossed. Sometimes it's kind of hard to hide your adhesive behind your vellum since it is see-through, but if you get kind of creative with where you put your adhesive and kind of hide it behind other elements, you can do a good job of hiding your adhesive. Now I'm putting some tape runner adhesive down as well, and I'm putting it in a little spot that I know is going to be covered up by my pine cones, so I'm not worried about it showing through. So I'm just getting that lined up, placing it where I want it, and then just pushing it down a little bit to get the glue to stick. And then I'm going to flip it over and just trim off that extra piece of vellum with my scissors. Now you can put this in an envelope and send it through the mail. Since they're so small, that little piece that's hanging off the edge there of vellum probably won't really hurt anything if you put it in an envelope. But it's also really a fantastic way to just hand it to someone in person. When you're giving a gift card, sometimes if you put a little bit more work into how you deliver it, it makes it feel a little bit more special. So I went ahead and I just added those pine cones right over that little area there where I put some of that adhesive behind the vellum. And now I'm taking my Tombow glue and I'm adding a few tiny dots of glue here and there because I'm going to put some red sequins around my sentiment and my pine cones. And these red sequins are by Doodlebug, and they have different kinds of sequins in here. Some of them are kind of shiny, some of them are a little bit more matte. I'm just picking out several different kinds and sticking them on there. I just thought a little bit more red would be really nice on this project. So that pretty much finishes the whole thing, but I personally think that some Christmas projects really need some sparkle. So I'm taking some stickles and just adding a little bit to the edges of my pine cones. And then I'm going to let that dry, and that's going to complete my project for today. So I'm really excited to be putting some gift cards in here and just giving them for Christmas. You can see it came together pretty quickly, so if you wanted to do something like this yourself, you could probably make a handful of these to hand out and just have them on hand for the holiday season. So thanks so much for stopping by today. I hope this gave you some inspiration, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.